So behind me is my 10p Discovery 2 and I'm doing a manual swap on it. I've never done one before, not very mechanically minded. So to start off with, first port of call, I'm going to be taking off the exhaust. So I've taken off this heat shroud, which was a bolt there, and a bolt here. I'm now just taking off my downpipe, which has recently been fitted, so it's nice and easy. There's just 2 nuts and I think a bolt on this side. Yep, just there. Oh, it's also a nut as well, I think. I'm just taking that off, and then I will probably attempt to do the pedal box. So I'll be working over there, taking off the brake booster and the clutch fluid reservoir. Brake fluid reservoir, sorry. And yes, so as you can see, the back section is still on, but I did remove the downpipe in the mid section. It just gives us a bit more room to get under here and get the gearbox out. So like I said, these are the parts I took off. Downpipe to mid section was just this bracket. One of them on either side, clamping it together, and then the midsection to the back section was just held on via these 3 points, and I guess this is some kind of like putty gasket. But yeah, so that's off. Obviously mine's an aftermarket exhaust, so it's probably quite easy because it was only recently fitted. So that's that off. You join me underneath the vehicle, where today the task is to remove the prop shaft or drive shafts, whatever they're called, which is 4 bolts. The top ones are going to be kind of awkward unless I can spin it somehow. But yeah, there's 4 there, 4 there, at that end. And then I will be doing the same thing to the other side. So yeah, prop shaft's coming off. I did the same the other side. Exhaust is obviously partially off. That's what I'm doing for today. So I forgot to record quite a bit. Not really, actually. I've just taken the handbrake off here, still attached at the cable. But it's really easy to remove. Obviously, when it's got the cover on, the small screw in here, which is a Posi 4. I had to buy the right bit for it. As you can see, I mangled it a bit beforehand. And then there's 4 of these 15mm bolts inside handbrake that go in these holes here, and then it should just pop straight off. As you can see, they go in here, and now I'm going to go inside and take the handbrake cable out from the inside, and I'll take the gear lever off and everything whilst I'm doing that. So here we are inside. Next job is to get all of this off, and to do that you have to take off this little panel, which just pulls off. There's some screws under there, and then you can take off, you just pull these things off, you know, this panel. This just yanks off, this twists off like a screw, and then there'll be 2 bolts hit under here, 2 big Posis, and I think there'll be another 2, I think it's them 2 in there, and then this whole center console should come off. So I'm just going to get that done. So just to show you what it looks like, I'm going to pull this off. It's a bit filthy. There's a purple one at the bottom right and the bottom left, 2 white ones and a brown one in the middle. Just unclip those. As I said, gear selector does just pull out. I think mine was slightly broken. It doesn't really matter because I'm not going to be needing it. So for the gear selector, the lighting part of the gear selector, the bits that light up, this is the clip, and it is just a case of when it's back all the way, you push in this small tab here and then pull this piece over it, and it just should pull out. Like I say, this will just unscrew, just pull the gaiter off with a little bit of force. Oh, don't do that, but yeah, pull the gaiter off, unscrew it, and it should just come right off. No problems at all. There you go. I probably just snapped a couple of them. Oh yeah, just one of them. Oh, two of them. But yeah, that's how that comes off. And then this piece is free. And then you just got to unscrew these two here and these two here. You need to take off the cable for the handbrake so that you can pull this up, and then you can just move this up in that direction, and it should come loose. So this center console is removed. Next up, we will take out these small little plastic clips. I think there's one there, possibly another one. I don't actually know. I'll find them. There's a couple of them. And then we want to probably take this piece off. It'd be nice to unscrew this, take off this little heating duct, because that's all that's holding it on. And yeah, I think once we take that out, if you take the heating duct off, it probably exposes the other ones of them, so we'll just have a look. So with this pushed out to the side, you can see there's one. Is that one? No, there's one there. Sorry, I think there's three, but I definitely there's one there. There's one there. So if another one crops up, I'll show you. Okay, so unbolted that. This is out of the way. Just taking off these 3 8mm. And then for this, I believe it's the linkage. You take off this small little, what do you call it? Don't even know what you'd call it, like a spacer type thing, washer. Pull that out, and then this piece should just pull straight out. And then this will be free to move. And then you should be able to just pull up this foam padding and get it out. What I see there is a BMW logo, which is interesting. Perhaps this is a BMW gearbox or gear lever. So the gear selector's out, my linkage snapped off. All these little prongs here just stick out through these holes, you just pull them through. And then that's off as far as I'm concerned. Then you can undo your high-low thingy-majig by undoing these, and then you have to drill out each one of these rivets, and then that is that. Your gearbox is obviously down here. Okay, so I've just drilled out all of these rivets and removed the plate that was in here. This just pulls through the hole, and now you can see down under here, obviously you've got your gearbox here. So now I need to figure out how to disconnect this linkage. Apologies for the lack of detail. Oh Christ. So I've taken off the gearbox loom, which came out of this button here, and there's 3 plugs on it. You just unplug them all. Can't remember which ones they are, but you just unplug the 3 that came through there. And that then connects to, there'll be a little plug tucked underneath this metal plate. If I can focus the camera. This little metal plate here, I can't really show you. So it connects, there'll be one just under this little metal plate here, and it sits on here, and there'll be a little tab. Push the tab down and pull there's a connector. You just pull the whole thing off there, and then there'll be a plug behind this plate, as I've said. It plugs into this, and then there is a plug that goes into, let's see, there's a little, if I can try and zoom in, there's some pins there, you can see they're shiny. There's some bits that plug in, that come on there, and they just twist off. And then there's a bit that plugs onto that plug there, that obviously just pulls off, and that's it for the gearbox loom. So just push it through the bung, and then the whole thing comes out. Handbrake cable, it's pretty easy. there's just a little clip here that you take off, and then you push the pin through, and then the cable just goes out through the bottom there, through that hole. The selector for your high and low range is, or well, was connected, I think, there, just into there, and it's just a 13mm spanner on there, and you just slide it back and drop it down. There's a little clip on it that you just have to pull off. It's really easy, and then that little high-low one will just pull straight out. I'm not going to bother with the gear selector because it's here, so when you take the gearbox off, just push it out of the way and it will be fine. So next step on the agenda is the starter motor, which is somewhere over there, or this side, I can't remember. So coming into the front, we're going to look at getting the starter motor off, which is just there, so quite close to the front, quite accessible. There is obviously this positive wire to take off. There is the positive wire to take off, as I said, and that little plug with the red wire. And then there is 1, 2, and then over the top, I don't know if I can get you up there to see it. There's another one up the top here somewhere. I can't even see it myself. I think it's that. I don't know. I don't honestly know what I'm looking at, but I think there's another one up there, which is quite awkward to get to. But yeah, that's how you take that off. So this is your starter motor, for those who don't know what one looks like. I think this one's pretty new. I've never actually taken a starter motor off, but so it screws into these two here with two long bolts, and then there's a thread that comes off the gearbox that goes through here. There's supposed to be a nut that goes on there, but mine didn't have it, and I think that's because the person who put it on was lazy. But yeah, that's off. Okay, so today I've been unproductive. All I've done is I've drained the transfer box and taken the cross member off that sits around here, and I've just shifted the other cross member, you can see, over just so I can access the transfer case bolts. And now I'm working on, I've just got this access patch panel off the gearbox. I'm just working on getting the bolts off of the flex plate that go into the torque converter off. So in order to do that, you have to take off this access panel. You can see up inside the gearbox, not very well without the flash on. And you have to manually turn the engine over. So I'll show you how I'm doing that. So to do that, I've taken the fan off using this. It's just the nut that sits on there. You just hit it that way and then it should unwind. Then I've got a 24mm socket on the crank pulley that I'm able to just turn sort of by hand. It's a little bit stiff, as you'd hope. It does move. It does move when you need it to. But yeah, so that's what I'm now doing, just to try and access the bolts. I think there's 3 or 4 inside the gearbox onto the torque converter. So yeah. So this is the bolt that we're aiming for. Okay, and there is 3 of those on this triangular shaped plate. There's another one just up there, and that's what we're going to be getting off today. And then we'll start undoing a few of these bolts that are connecting the gearbox to the torque converter, and then should almost be ready to take the torque converter off itself and then take the gearbox off, just ensuring that all the bolts go in the right place. But whilst he's here, I'm probably not going to record a whole bunch, but the idea is I've just taken off the top 2 gearbox bolts into the engine, and what I've done on my replacement gearbox is I've drawn a template so that I've put these bolts where they're going, and that way if they're any different size or different length, they're in the right place, because that one there's a 13mm, that one's 14, so you could easily get confused. So yeah, our task will be take the transfer box off today somehow. I'm sure there's videos online of that because I'm not really going to be able to record it. But we'll take that off and then start taking more gearbox bolts off, and then we'll swap them around and hope to get most of that done with him today. He does also have this BMW to engine swap due to a spun rod bearing, so we'll see how we get on. But yeah, I'm not going to be able to record a lot, but I can link some videos below for taking off the transfer case and for taking the gearbox off, just because I'm not going to have time to record it. So in this video I didn't record any audio, but I'm just showing you where the bolts on the transfer box are. And yeah, we got that off quite easily, well, my brother did. Here I was just taking the oil cooler lines off the gearbox. The oil cooler itself is behind the grille and it's quite easy to remove. So here we've got the flywheel mounted. Make sure you order 8 flywheel bolts and 6 clutch bolts. I think it was 6. You need a flywheel lock and a clutch alignment tool. So the gearbox is back on, as I've previously probably mentioned. I don't really know what I've recorded. The transfer box is back on. The high-low ratio is hanging down. Actually, this transfer box has the ability to have diff lock. I just haven't got the lever because it's really expensive and I'm not that fast. I've put the harmonic balancer back on. Just put the handbrake back on. So I think I'll go do the gearbox wiring loom next and put the handbrake cable back in. As far as the pedal box is concerned, it's fairly straightforward, just a bit fiddly. You've got a series of 10mm bolts going all the way around, and then I believe these are 13mm. One there, one underneath, and one there. They're just a nut. There's a couple, I think 10mm here, which is where your brake booster is. And you I think they're 13 actually, and you do them from inside. They're on here. This clips onto your brake pedal, so you just push it all out once it's all undone. And then I just undone my brake lines and put some towel under there. As you can see, it's been leaking, so there's a bit of rust. Then you have to move the steering column forward a little bit somehow. So I've undone that one, which is a 10mm, and I've undone that one down there, which was a 10mm. And then there's an anti-tampering screw there that I've got to try and undo. I should be able to slide that forward and then pull this, which is, as you can see, free. Just sort of held captive at the minute by some other bits and bobs, but it is actually ready to sort of come out. It's just obviously it's got the pedals on the back, and then yeah, we should be able to get it out. He just slid the knuckle back because I'd undone this one, so he slid it back that much, as you can see. Got to try and slide it forward yet, but that was the largest faff ever. What I actually end up doing is using pry bars to pry this off of this. Very difficult, took me ages. Some people probably have a lot easier experiences. Mine was not great. And then getting the actual box out was an absolute faff as well. In here, see these clips? They are very difficult to get off, and I just yanked it off that one. So I broke it, so I might have to cable tie it back on, which is quite annoying. Let's try and get the new one back in there now. I think I just got to swap over the accelerator pedal. So this is the manual pedal box with obviously clutch pedal. And I just took this accelerator pedal from my old one, and it's just 2 bolts on there. Happy days. And then I've got to try and wrestle them 3 back through that hole. It was bad enough. Tried to do it a minute ago with blinking 2 pedals on there, so let's have 3 go. So what I've done here is I've refitted the brake master and reservoir. This one is what came with my kit because it's got this flexi on it that then sits on that nipple on the clutch master. That just goes into that bit of the brake, whatchamacallums, and then there's clutch switch here. There's some holes pre-drilled that they just line up with in there. Happy days. Same sort of thing with the pedal. Clip it on inside the car, bolt it on. So I don't know what I last recorded, but I've just put this in with a couple of rivets to hold it in, and I did have to Dremel the manual plate to fit the high-low in, because obviously it's not meant to have the high-low, it's meant to have diff lock, and that's sort of just, I bolted that in, and I've plugged these in because I'm probably going to drive it without the interior until the new rivets and rivet gun turn up. And what else? Inside the engine bay, as you can see, I've got my clutch line to my slave cylinder. That is just routed in through there, behind the gearbox, and goes into my connection there. Got my clutch master there, which is connected to my brake master reservoir, and also my clutch switch, which is plugged in just down there. I don't actually know what this switch is for. I don't think it switches, it plugs in there. I actually can't remember what it came off, or if it came off anything. So I think that's just chilling. I think that's what I did. Obviously, if I didn't already mention, to put the clutch master in, it's literally the same process of putting this brake booster back on. There's a little clip on the back of the pedal. You do that, and then you just bolt it through the holes. It's really straightforward. But that's all that side of things done. I'm actually really close to finishing. Put my fan back on. So tomorrow I'll come back and I'll oil the boxes. I could do it now, but as you can see, it's absolutely grim out here. Put my headlights back in and everything, and now I should be ready to start it up. I've bled all the brakes, bled the clutch with my brother. So yeah. Exhaust and props will go back on tomorrow as well. That should be done, hopefully. So I'm back under the vehicle, putting the props back on. Basically, nearly finished. Once I've put the props on, I'm going to put most of the exhaust back in place in here, and then lower the car down, and I'll oil the gearbox and the transfer box, if I can still reach the plugs. I don't know where they've gone. I'll have to find them again. I think there's one up there, and then yeah, we'll be done, which is exciting. I've just got some bits on the front of the car to put back on, and the interior to do, but I don't have the rivets for that, but I can still drive it. As you can see, the thing started. Sounds a little bit rough. It's not been started for absolutely ages, so that's probably why. I did just move forwards and backwards. It moves under its own steam, it stops, so I'm going to tidy up and take it home, see how we drive, and I think that'll be it. So this is probably the last update I'll make on the build. It's pretty much finished other than the interior, of which which side am I walking to? At a moment there, I've still gone to the wrong side. Oh fuck it, we'll go in there. As you can see, we've had a bit of snow here in Norfolk. It's a bit chilly. Yeah, we ain't getting in there easily, are we? Where was I? Oh yes, so we've started it up and de-iced it kind of. As you can see in here, there's not a whole lot of interior going on, but it's all in the back. It's really straightforward. It's exactly the same as how I showed you to take it off, and I've got a linked video as well. So I'm not going to record anymore, but I've driven it, drives absolutely fine. Clutch bled up fine, brakes bled up fine, so I'm pretty chuffed. That is the build. Let me just turn that off. I hope this small video sort of helped anyone wanting to do it. I know it's not the most detailed, but there you go. Thank you for watching.